Hey, it's Penny Dreadful, and welcome back to the Masters of the Universe Classics Wishlist series. Today we're going far into the past for a visit to Preternia and the powers of Grayskull. Okay, fair warning, I'm going to start getting into some very deep cuts in terms of character selections in some of these videos. If you don't know who some of the characters are in my upcoming videos, then I invite you to find out more about them. You may personally not want them as classics figures, but I sure do, and so do plenty of other folks. In fact, I could never really see the validity of this character is too obscure to be made as a figure argument when it comes to classics. I mean, a good chunk of the characters that were made in classics are pretty obscure as it is, and a lot of them have become cult favorites and really cool figures. And honestly, if you ask me, a character's only obscure until you find out who they are and learn more about them. So even if you don't want some of my upcoming video choices as figures, then think of these as informational videos about the characters and learn a little bit more about them. So let's jump into it. Today we look at the Preternian tribal warrior Sharella. Now, technically, Sharella never appeared officially in any vintage material, but she was mentioned in the 1987 Mattel Style Guide as a tribal chiefess who helped train Hero. Specifically, it says that Hero's alter ego, Gray, was reared under the tutelage of his mentor Eldor and the tribal chiefess Sharella. Now, it's possible that she was going to be one of the members of a heroic trio comprised of Hero, Eldor, and Sharella. We don't know for sure, but her mention in the style guide could lead one to believe that. Somewhere along the way, after fans finally saw this style guide on He-Man.org, the theory sprung up that she might have been the archer seen in the background on Megator's box art. This was never anything that was officially stated in vintage material. Fans just kind of saw that image and put it together with the style guide, and through speculation on the He-Man.org forums over the years, they started to become sort of synonymous. Anyway, this idea caught on, and the unnamed archer character from the box art was subsequently adopted by many fans as the Sharella who was mentioned in the 87 style guide. Years later, there were some plans conceived for a possible 2000X MV Creations comic storyline that would have gone into Preternia and the Powers of Grayskull story, and that story would have featured Sharella as part of it, as you can see in this snippet from Emiliano Santalucia's blog. Here is an unofficial piece of artwork by artist Axel Jimenez, and it shows a Preternian battle going on, and there's Sharella. So you can see that this image of Sharella as the archer from the Megator box art was becoming more and more cemented in the consciousness of the fandom. Later, the character did finally become part of the official Masters of the Universe canon in Masters of the Universe Classics. Now here, things changed a bit, so bear with me because this is going to get a little convoluted. Okay, so back in 1982, in the very first mini-comic storybook, He-Man and the Power Sword for Masters of the Universe, we see the Green Goddess / Sorceress character, actually, as she's called, in that. And in Classics, that Green Goddess character was given a real name, and that name was Sharella, in essence combining two unrelated characters. In the Classics canon, it was subsequently revealed that Sharella was indeed originally that tribal archer, but in mini-comic number 8, she was ironically injured by a poison arrow and was at death's door, so she received a life-saving blood transfusion from Mossman. This transfusion caused her skin to start turning green, and then this sort of ichor in her bloodstream opened the door to her becoming sort of an avatar for this benevolent serpent goddess, Asclepia. So she started out as Sharella, but she sort of evolved into the Green Goddess. Okay, now As you can see, Sharella's design in Classics mini-comic number 8 very much reflected the look of the tribal archer character from the Megator box art, and this was even more strongly emphasized in Axel Jimenez's original layouts for the comic, where she's holding her bow. Actually, it was accidentally changed into a sword by the artist who illustrated the final mini-comic. In the official He-Man.org Masters Mondays bio for the Great Wars Weapons Pack, Sharella does get to take part in an adventure. She also appeared officially in the awesome Mad Duck poster illustrated by artist Emiliano Santalucia. This poster is just great, and it really captures the feel of the powers of Grayskull. I think the helmet in the variant version of the poster might indicate her leadership of the Green Tiger tribe, based on the previously mentioned unused ideas from the NV Creations comic. So let's take a look at how Sharella would look as a Classics figure. First off, here's a design by artist Tom Brisky from the Fwoosh articles written by Brian Charles Rooney. I really like the woodland look that Tom gave Sharella here. She looks like someone lives in the forest, and it's such a very unique look with the wreath in her hair and the cool splash of green, and I would certainly be happy to get this version as a toy. And here we see an amazing Neoclassics version by artist Eric Gibbagok Marshall. He did an awesome job of taking that headband that we see in mini-comic number 8 while also playing up the more Preternian tribal warrior feel of the character. This is just sensational, really well done. And here we see the final figure design by artist Axel Jimenez. Axel sketched Sharella during his time working on the mini-comics, and then he refined his design and gave it some color later on. And in fact, this is the main design that I sent over to my friend Chris Diaz over at Hunter Knight Customs to make for me as a Classics figure. Incidentally, the Battleground Tila figure, which was released in Classics, works as an ideal base for this character in case you ever decide to make one yourself or commission a customizer like Hunter Knight to make one for you. This turned out so good. I love having this Sharella figure in my collection, and I'm so glad I asked Chris to make this for me. So, what are your thoughts on this rather obscure character? To me, she's an essential Preternian character and really is part of that Powers of Grayskull trio. Unfortunately, Mattel has put the kibosh on Classics for the time being, so drop them a line and let them know that you would like Classics to continue. Check out the screens I'm putting up for contact information and for suggestions. Val Staples has been able to release many figures to hardcore collectors via PowerCon, so that's a very viable outlet. How about a Sharella Gray and maybe like Red Shadow or Time Travel Keldor 3-pack? I think that would be awesome. I would love to get Gray too, actually, Red Shadow, all of these pictures.